You want to know the real secret to mental strength. It's not about pretending your emotions don't exist. It's not about being fearless or never having doubts. It's about recognizing something most people never figure out. Your emotions are signals, not commands. That's it. That's the game changer. And when you get this, when you really live by it, you take your power back in a way that will change everything. Think about how most of us live. We wake up tired and the first thought is, I don't feel like getting up. So what do? Snooze. Later we want to speak up in a meeting. But that nervous knot in our stomach whispers, don't. You'll sound stupid. So we stay quiet. Or we think about starting a business, going back to school, asking someone out. But then fear shows up and says, not a good idea. What if you fail? What if they laugh? And we retreat. Day after day, we let emotions make our decisions for us. But here's the thing. Feelings are not facts. They are not instructions carved in stone. They're just signals, like the check engine light in your car. A message saying, pay attention. But you wouldn't see the check engine light come on and say, well, I guess I can't drive anymore. No. You'd investigate, you'd get curious. You'd figure out what's really going on. That's how emotions work. Fear isn't saying, don't do it. Fear is saying, pay attention, something feels risky. Nervousness isn't saying, stay small. It's saying, this matters to you. Frustration isn't saying, quit. It's saying, something's not working, adjust. The signal is there to inform you, not to dictate your life. And the moment you stop treating emotions like commands you must obey and start treating them like data you get to interpret, that's the moment you free yourself. Let me give you a real life example. Years ago, I was stuck. Every morning, my alarm would go off and I'd hit snooze. I was overwhelmed, anxious, and I kept telling myself, I'll get up when I feel ready. But that moment never came. My emotions, fear, doubt, exhaustion, were running the show until one night I saw a rocket launch on TV. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off, and something clicked. What if I just counted down and launched myself out of bed before my feelings talked me out of it? The next morning, I tried it. Alarm went off. Fear, doubt, exhaustion, they all showed up like usual. But instead of listening, I counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I moved. That tiny shift changed my life. Because I realized I didn't need to feel like getting up. I just needed to act. The emotions were still there, but they were just background noise. They were signals, not commands. Here's why this matters for you. Every single day, your brain is throwing emotions at you like confetti. Fear when you're about to try something new. Doubt when you're about to speak up. Frustration when you're not getting instant results. Those emotions are signals, but they're not steering wheels. You are. You get to decide what to do with them. The problem is most people don't even pause to separate the two. They feel something and immediately obey. Feel anxious, don't go. Feel tired, don't move. Feel insecure, stay small. And over time, those little emotional decisions add up to a life half lived. So how do you flip it? How do you train your mind to treat emotions as signals, not commands? First, you've got to build awareness. Start catching yourself in the moment. When you feel fear, don't just run. Ask, what is this signal trying to tell me? When you feel resistance, don't just avoid. Ask, is this resistance protecting me, or is it keeping me stuck? That pause, just a second of awareness, creates a gap where you can choose differently. Second, you need a simple tool to interrupt the pattern, because emotions happen fast. Fear doesn't wait for you to journal about it. Hesitation doesn't schedule an appointment. That's why I use the 5-second rule. That countdown breaks the autopilot, pulls you into the present, and gives you just enough control to choose action over avoidance. You feel fear, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, step forward anyway. You feel doubt, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, raise your hand anyway. You feel tired. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up anyway. The signal gets acknowledged, but the command gets ignored. And here's the magic. Every single time you act against your emotions and in alignment with your goals, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself, I'm the one in charge here. You're proving that fear doesn't stop you, doubt doesn't shrink you, hesitation doesn't own you. Over time, your brain starts to follow your lead. The emotions will still show up. They always do, but they lose their power to control you. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean emotions are bad. They're not. They're human. They're essential. Fear has kept our species alive. Doubt keeps us cautious. Even sadness and anger. They are signals that something matters to us. The mistake is letting those signals become dictators. When you stop obeying every emotion like it's law, you finally give yourself room to grow. Think about the biggest regrets people have at the end of their lives. It's never, I felt nervous and I still went for it. It's always, I let fear stop me. I let doubt hold me back. I let insecurity keep me quiet. That's what happens when you confuse signals for commands. You give your future away to temporary feelings. But when you flip the script, when you remind yourself, this is just a signal, not a command, you step into power. You stop waiting to feel brave and you act brave. You stop waiting to feel motivated and you act disciplined. You stop waiting to feel confident and you act confident. And those actions build the evidence that eventually changes how you feel. That's the loop most people never discover. Feelings don't lead to actions. Actions lead to feelings. So the next time fear shows up, don't say, this means I shouldn't do it. Say, this means I'm growing. The next time doubt whispers, don't say, this means I'm not ready. Say, this means I care. The next time frustration hits, don't say, this means it's impossible. Say, this means it's time to adjust. That's what it looks like to train your mind to be stronger than your emotions. You take the signal, you interpret it, and then you decide. And that's my challenge to you. For the next week, every time an emotion rises up, I want you to pause. Label it, this is fear, this is doubt, this is hesitation. Then remind yourself, signal, not command. Then count it down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take the action anyway. Do that once, you'll feel a spark. Do it 10 times, you'll feel momentum. Do it 100 times, you'll feel unstoppable. Because you'll have built the habit of leading your emotions instead of following them. So no more waiting for the right mood. No more letting feelings dictate your day. Your emotions are data. You are the decision maker. Train your mind to separate the signal from the command, and you'll never be a prisoner to your feelings again. You'll be the driver of your life. And that's the kind of strength nobody can take away from you. You know the moment I'm talking about. That split second when you have an idea. Send the email, raise your hand, go to the gym, speak up in the meeting. And then, almost instantly, a wave of hesitation shows up. What if I sound stupid? What if I fail? What if I'm too tired? Maybe later. And just like that, the window is gone. The idea evaporates. The opportunity passes, and you stay stuck. That moment right there, that's the loop of emotion. And if you don't interrupt it, it will run your life. Here's the truth, emotions are fast. Fear, doubt, hesitation. They don't need your permission. They don't knock politely. They just show up and slam on the brakes. And most of us live our entire lives obeying them without even realizing it. We assume if we don't feel ready, we shouldn't act. We assume if we feel nervous, it means stop. We assume if we feel unmotivated, it means wait. But emotions are not in charge unless you let them be. What you need is a way to stop that loop before it hijacks you. And that's where the 5-second rule comes in. I discovered it at the lowest point in my life. I was broke. My marriage was falling apart. I was drinking too much. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. And every night I'd make promises to myself. Tomorrow I'll wake up on time. Tomorrow I'll change. But every morning the alarm would go off and my emotions would take over. I'm too tired. I don't feel like it. Snooze. And snooze again, until one night I saw a rocket launch on TV. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. And I thought, what if I just launched myself out of bed like a rocket? No thinking, no hesitation. The next morning, alarm went off. I didn't negotiate. I didn't listen to my feelings. I counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I moved, and for the first time in a long time, I beat my emotions. That's the power of the 5-second rule. It's simple. You feel the hesitation, you feel the fear, you feel the doubt, and you count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you go, why does it work? Because it interrupts the pattern. Your brain is wired to protect you. The second you feel uncertain, it sends up a flare, warning, danger, stay safe. But most of the time, the danger is not a lion chasing you. It's just you stepping outside your comfort zone. And when you hesitate, even for a second, your brain doubles down. It floods you with reasons to stay put. You're not ready. You'll look dumb. Do it later. But when you count backward, you circuit that loop. You move before the emotions multiply. You take action before your brain talks you out of it. Think of it like this. Hesitation is the kiss of death. You hesitate, you stall, you overthink. You overthink, you don't act. And the longer you don't act, the stronger your emotions get. But if you interrupt hesitation at the root, if you move within 5 seconds, you win. That tiny gap between thought and action. That's where your future is decided. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to start going to the gym. You set your alarm for 6:00 a.m. The alarm rings. Immediately your emotions show up. I'm tired. It's cold. I'll go tomorrow. That's the loop. If you hesitate, you've already lost. But with the rule, you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you throw off the covers before the feelings pile up. Suddenly, you're up, shoes on, out the door. The emotions didn't disappear. You just didn't give them time to control you. Here's another. You're in a meeting. You have an idea. You want to speak up. But then your emotions kick in. What if they judge you? You hesitate and boom, the moment passes. But if you count down and raise your hand before your brain can kill the idea, you've just trained yourself to choose courage over comfort. That's how you build confidence. Not by waiting to feel confident, but by taking action before your emotions shut you down. The rule is not about motivation. Motivation is unreliable. You're never going to wake up every day feeling like it. The rule is about activation. It's about giving your brain no time to negotiate. You just act. And optimal combinations ensures that every action taken has the maximum possible impact. When you count backwards, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps you focus, plan, and make decisions. You literally flip the switch from autopilot to control. That's why it works in every situation, and look, I know it sounds almost too simple. Count to 5 and your life changes, come on. But here's the thing, you don't need complicated. You need practical. You need something you can use in real time when fear and hesitation show up, and trust me, they will. They always do, but with this tool, you're ready. Now, let's talk about what happens when you start using it consistently. At first, it feels awkward. You'll forget sometimes. You'll notice yourself hesitating after the fact and think, ugh, I missed it. That's okay. Because awareness is progress, and the more you practice, the faster you get. Soon, you won't even need the numbers. The second hesitation shows up, you'll move. And every time you do, you're building proof. Proof that you can feel fear and still act. Proof that you can feel doubt and still try. proof that you can feel tired and still show up. That's how you train your mind to be stronger than your emotions, not by eliminating them, but by acting anyway. And here's the bigger picture. Every big change in your life starts with a tiny decision to act. Send the email, make the call, speak up, step forward, and every single one of those decisions has a 5-second window before your emotions slam the door. If you can win that window, you can change anything. That's how I went from unemployed, anxious, and broke to building a career I love. Not because I stopped feeling fear, but because I stopped letting fear make the decisions. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 5 days, I want you to use the 5-second rule. Anytime you feel hesitation, whether it's getting out of bed, picking up the phone, or saying what needs to be said, I want you to count down and act. Just try it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Don't debate, don't negotiate, don't wait, move, and then notice how you feel afterward. You'll realize something powerful. The fear was louder in your head than it was in reality. The hesitation was heavier before you moved than after. That's the beauty of the rule. It doesn't make the emotions disappear. It makes you stronger than them. It gives you proof that you can lead your life instead of being led by fear, doubt, and hesitation. And the more you use it, the more unstoppable you become. So the next time you catch yourself stuck in that loop, remember this: you're one decision away from a different life. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel motivated. You just need 5 seconds of courage. 5 seconds where you choose action over emotion. 5 seconds where you take back control. Count it down. Launch yourself forward and watch how everything begins to change. Let me ask you a question. How many things in your life have you been waiting to do until you feel ready? Maybe it's starting that business, going back to school, having the tough conversation, getting healthy, writing the book, and let's be honest, you've probably been waiting a long time. You're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect mood. You're waiting for the day when you magically wake up and feel confident, motivated, and fearless. And I'm here to tell you, that day is never coming. Because ready is a lie. It's one of the biggest myths we've all bought into, that you have to feel ready before you can take action. That somehow, at some magical point, your fear will disappear, your doubt will vanish, and your emotions will line up perfectly with your goals. But life doesn't work that way. You're never going to feel ready to do the big, scary, important things. You're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel unqualified. You're going to feel uncomfortable. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Because the truth is, you don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing. Think about when you learned how to drive. Were you ready? No, you were terrified. Your hands were sweating on the wheel. Your heart was racing. You probably hit the brakes too hard the first time. But you did it anyway, and the more you drove, the more comfortable you became. That's how life works. You don't wait to feel ready, you act first. And the feelings of confidence and readiness come later. Here's why. Your brain is wired to keep you safe. Its job is to protect you, not to help you grow. So the moment you think about doing something outside your comfort zone, speak up, apply for the job, take the risk. Your brain sounds the alarm. Not ready, too risky, stay safe. And if you're waiting for that alarm to go away before you move, you'll wait forever. Because the alarm is proof you're growing, the nerves are proof you're pushing yourself. The fear is proof you're on the right track. Let me tell you a story. When I started my career as a speaker, I was not ready. In fact, the first time someone asked me to give a keynote, I almost said no. My brain screamed, "You're not qualified, you're not prepared, you'll make a fool of yourself." And guess what? I wasn't prepared, I was nervous. I stumbled over my words, but I said yes anyway. I stood on that stage anyway. And that messy, imperfect, not ready moment, it opened the door to everything I do today. If I had waited until I felt ready, I'd still be sitting on the sidelines of my own life. That's the trap so many of us fall into. We think readiness is a feeling, but it's not. Readiness is a decision. A decision to act even when you feel afraid. A decision to trust that you'll figure it out along the way. A decision to stop letting your emotions dictate your future. Because if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll miss the only moment that matters, this one. And here's the kicker: the more you act before you feel ready, the faster you grow. Every time you raise your hand, even though your voice shakes, you build confidence. Every time you take a step forward, even though your knees are weak, you build courage. Every time you choose action over waiting, you build momentum. That's how readiness actually works. It doesn't come first. It comes after. So how do you stop waiting to feel ready? First, you've got to catch yourself in the waiting trap. The next time you hear yourself saying, "I'll do it when I feel more confident. When I feel less nervous, when the timing is better," stop. That's the lie talking. That's your brain trying to protect you from discomfort. Second, you've got to shrink the decision down. Don't think about the whole mountain. Just take one step. Send the email, make the call, say yes. Once you start moving, the emotions shift. And third, you've got to trust yourself. You don't have to know every answer right now. You don't have to have the whole plan figured out. You just have to believe that you're capable of figuring it out as you go. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you've been wanting to get healthier. You keep telling yourself, "I'll start when I feel more motivated." Newsflash, that motivation isn't coming. But what if you stop waiting to feel ready and just start? You don't need to run 5 miles. You just need to put on your shoes and walk around the block. That tiny action builds momentum, and momentum creates the very motivation you've been waiting for. Or maybe you want to write a book. You've been saying for years, "I'll start when I have more time, when I feel inspired." Forget that. You don't need readiness. You need discipline. Sit down, open your laptop, and write for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's it. And when you do, you'll realize inspiration doesn't come before action. It comes after. Here's the truth most people never realize. Courage always comes before confidence. Action always comes before motivation. Readiness always comes after you start, never before. And I know what you're thinking, but Mel, what if I fail? You probably will. And that's a good thing. Failure is feedback. It's data. It's proof you're trying. The only way to avoid failure is to avoid action. And that's the fastest way to guarantee regret. You don't need to be ready to succeed. You need to be willing to fail, learn, and keep going. That's how every successful person you admire got there, not by waiting until they felt ready, but by starting before they were. So let me ask you again, what are you waiting for? What dream have you been putting on hold until the stars align? What opportunity have you been letting slip by while you wait to feel ready? And what would your life look like if you stopped waiting and just started? Because here's the bottom line. You are never going to feel ready, but you don't need to feel ready to change your life. You just need 5 seconds of courage, 5 seconds to silence the emotions, push past the fear, and take the first step. That's it. Action first, feelings later. So the next time your brain screams, "Not ready," I want you to answer back, "Of course I'm not ready. That's why I have to do it." Count it down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect time. That time is now. And the moment you stop waiting to feel ready is the moment you start living the life you're actually capable of. Let me tell you something about willpower. It's garbage. You cannot count on willpower to change your life, because willpower is like a cell phone battery. You wake up with a full charge, and by 3 p.m., it's dead. That's why you start the day saying, "Today I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to focus. I'm going to work out." And by the evening, your face, first in a bag of chips bin, watching Netflix. It's not because you're lazy or broken. It's because willpower runs out. So if you can't rely on willpower, what do you rely on? Habits. Habits are the secret weapon. Habits put your brain on autopilot, so you don't have to think about what to do. You just do it. And when your brain is on autopilot in the right direction, your emotions don't even get a vote. Here's how it works. Your brain loves efficiency. It wants to save energy. So anytime you repeat a behavior, your brain builds a shortcut. Do it enough times and boom, it becomes a habit. You don't think about brushing your teeth. You don't think about tying your shoes. You don't think about checking your phone 37 times a day. Those are habits. They're automatic, and that's the key. If you want to train your mind to be stronger than your emotions, you need to build habits that make the right actions automatic. So even when you're tired, stressed, or scared, you still move in the direction of your goals. Let me give you an example. For years, I struggled with self-confidence. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw all the flaws. The wrinkles, the weight, the mistakes from my past. And every morning, those emotions of self-doubt and criticism would hit me before the day even started. Until one morning I tried something new. I looked in the mirror and high-fived myself. Yes, literally. I put my hand on the mirror and said, "You got this." It felt ridiculous, but you know what? My brain didn't think it was silly. Neuroscience shows that when you high-five yourself, your brain associates it with encouragement and celebration because you've been doing it your whole life for other people. Suddenly, instead of starting the day in self-criticism, I was starting it in self-support. That tiny ritual became a habit. And over time, it rewired my relationship with myself. That's the power of building the right habits. They shift your emotional baseline. Here's another. A friend of mine struggled with procrastination. Every time she sat down to work, she'd feel overwhelmed. Her emotions would say, "I can't, I'll do it later." So we built her a rule, just 5 minutes, that's it. When the resistance showed up, she didn't have to do the whole project, just 5 minutes. And you know what happened. Once she started, 5 minutes turned into 20, then an hour. Because the hardest part isn't doing the work. It's starting. That 5-minute rule became her habit, and it put her brain on autopilot to beat procrastination. This is why habits matter more than motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Habits don't care how you feel. If you have the habit of walking every morning, you'll do it even when it's cold. If you have the habit of journaling at night, you'll do it even when you're tired. If you have the habit of saving money every paycheck, you'll do it even when you're tempted to spend. Habits take the decision, making out of the moment, and when there's no decision to make, your emotions can't hijack you. Now here's the mistake most people make with habits. They go too big, too fast. I'm going to run 5 miles every day. I'm going to meditate for an hour. I'm going to write a book in 3 months. And by day 3, they've quit. Why? Because the habit wasn't sustainable. The trick is to start small. Anchor the habit to something you already do. Make it so easy you can't say no. Want to start working out? Do 1 push-up after you brush your teeth. Just 1. Want to start journaling? Write 1 sentence before bed. Just 1, because here's what happens: small habits compound. 1 push-up turns into 10. 1 sentence turns into a page. The momentum builds, and before you know it, you've rewired your identity. You don't just go to the gym. You're the kind of person who moves their body. You don't just save money. You're the kind of person who takes care of their future. That's what habits do. They shift who you are. And here's the science behind it. Every time you repeat a behavior, you reinforce a neural pathway in your brain. It's like carving a trail through a forest. The more you walk it, the clearer it gets. Eventually, it becomes the obvious path. That's why bad habits are so hard to break. You've been carving that trail for years, but the same science works in your favor when you intentionally build good habits. Over time, they become effortless, and that's when your brain is working for you, not against you. So how do you start? Step 1, pick one habit, not 10, not 5, 1, something small, simple, and specific. Step 2, anchor it. Attach it to something you already do every day. For example, after I pour my coffee, I'll write one sentence. Or after I brush my teeth, I'll do one push-up. Step 3, celebrate it. Every time you follow through, give yourself credit. Hi. 5, the mirror, say yes. Do a fist pump, whatever makes your brain light up. That celebration reinforces the habit loop. And step 4, keep going. Don't focus on perfection. Focus on consistency. It's not about doing it perfectly every day. It's about doing it more often than not. And here's the beautiful thing. When you build habits that align with your goals, you stop battling your emotions all the time. You don't need to feel motivated to go to the gym. It's just what you do. You don't need to feel confident to speak up. It's just who you are. You don't need to feel disciplined to work. You've built the structure that makes it automatic. Your emotions don't get to decide because your habits already did. Let me ask you something. Imagine if every morning you had 3 habits in place, habits that grounded you, energized you, and reminded you of your power. How different would your days look? Imagine if every evening you had a habit that let you close the day feeling accomplished instead of guilty. How different would your nights feel? Imagine if every stressful moment triggered not a bad habit like scrolling or snacking, but a positive one like breathing or moving. How different would your life be? That's what we're talking about here. Habits aren't just routines, they're anchors. They're shortcuts. They're the way you program your brain to act in alignment with your future instead of your feelings. So let me leave you with this. Willpower will fail you. Motivation will fail you. Your emotions will try to steer you off course. But your habits, they will carry you when nothing else does. So don't wait for the perfect mood. Don't wait for inspiration. Build the system. Build the ritual. Build the habits that make the right actions automatic. Because when your brain is on autopilot in the right direction, that's when you truly become unstoppable.